Okay, and then I'm going to admit Megan.
Oh, good. Are there any others? Just Megan so far?
Yep.
Hello.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Hi.
Can't see you.
Here we go. Let's see if I can figure this
There
out.
we go.
Okay.
Well, thank you for participating tonight. We can wait just a few more minutes to see if some people join on.
Yep.
And then we'll go ahead and get started right at 7. And then if people join in late, that's fine too, but then we won't be holding people up. And I'll wait till 7 to go ahead and start hitting record. And Kitty is here.
Good.
Hello, Kitty.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
We're going to wait a few more minutes just to see if anybody else is joining in, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Jen, I just found there's a way that you can, what did I just see? You can hide. I think you can hide us. What did I just see? It said, oh yeah, wait, now I was
Hide
looking
video
on-
panel. Hide video panel, but that would, or
hide non-video participants. Oh, that would just hide people that don't have their pictures on. We want to
Right.
see Megan and Kitty, don't we?
we do, but it's up to them to decide that they want
Right.
to share.
Right.
Say I'm walking around right now. I don't want to make you sick.
Yeah,
my
motion
hand.
sickness. Oh, I was gonna tell my friend. Let me send her the link. She wanted to join. I hope she remembered it. I got too many things open. Oh crap. Edit, copy link.
Well, while we're waiting, does anyone want to share how they found out about this? Are you all K-Pets volunteers? Is that how you knew about this? You're all part of the K-Pets
Yes.
community?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let me text her. Let's see. I just sent you the link for the video tonight, period. I hope you get this.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get started if that's okay, since it's 7:02, and I can just let people in if they join late.
You see her, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead now, and if it's okay with everybody, I'm going to start recording this because I think
We should mute ourselves.
Okay.
Everybody can mute yourself. That way we won't hear any background noise as we go.
Now I found before I saw where you could record, but I'm not seeing that now. And I am still the host, so
If I move my mouse down to the bottom, it pops up. along with the share screen, record, chat.
Chat, break rooms, pause recording, stop recording, meeting info. I wonder if it's already recording.
Is your only option to stop?
Yeah, pause or
And then-
stop.
Yeah, it must be then.
Okay. All right. Then yes, it is recording to the cloud, the whole thing. So you can edit it, I presume. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll trust that
We'll
you'll
find a
edit
way.
it before releasing it to the public at large. Okay.
Yep.
All right. We'll go ahead and get started. My name's Jen Ericson, and I won't give you my whole background, but animals have been a big part of my personal and professional life for a very long time. I became a volunteer with K-Pets, I want to say 2.5, maybe 3 years ago. And my dog Basil and we were doing agility. And then we just naturally, got involved then in the next level, canine good citizenship, and went through the certification process. And we've had a lot of fun doing it. We've volunteered primarily at the library with homeschool kids doing programs, and we'll resume that this summer at the Mountville Library outside with children reading to Basil. So over this pandemic period, I was talking with Karen and I said, it would be great if we could keep the dogs and volunteers engaged in learning new things, because we can't really get out there and be with people. And I know Basil was missing that. She was missing that interaction and that particular kind of stimulation. So it got us thinking about how we can do that and what kind of books and resources we could recommend. And so the book that we're going to be talking about tonight is the 10-minute dog training games book by Kyra Sundance. Has everybody heard of Kyra Sundance as a trainer? Okay. She has several books out. And they're all very good, and they're all really easy to understand, great illustrations and explanations of a variety of tricks and games and activities you can do with your dog. I liked this book because, as the title says, it's 10-minute games. So it's not taking a lot of time. And for those of us who have busy schedules, finding 10 minutes, a couple times a week is not hard to do. So these are all very accessible activities. Really, the purpose of this book is really just to introduce more fun into your dog's life, and to strengthen the bond that you have with your dog in a different way. And it builds their confidence as well. As the dogs learn new things, they're more confident, and it shows. So playing these training games with your dog increases their focus, their attention, and their strength. And they also have a lot of fun learning new things, even older dogs. So I'm going to assume that no one has read the book. Is that true? No one's read the book? Okay, that's fine. You didn't have to for this presentation. Hopefully after this presentation, it'll make you want to. This book features 86 different games or tricks that you can work with your dog on, and they are appropriate for dogs of all ages, from puppy to senior. And if you've never tried playing games with even your senior dog, they can enjoy and have fun learning the new things. The games in this book are divided into categories based on the abilities that they target. The categories are confidence, mental focus, coordination, strength, and following directions. So when trying any of these activities, the goal is first and foremost for your dog to have fun. So the book really reinforces that you only use positive reinforcement with your dog. If they make a mistake, that's fine. You just ignore it and repeat the command, but you don't use any corrective language, because again, these are games and they're trying to have fun. Another important key when training is to give the reward as soon as the dog does what you want them to do, or as soon as they're making progress toward what you want them to do. so that they can learn faster. And timing of the reward is really key. If you wait too long, well, then they don't know why you gave them the reward. So timing the treat or the reward immediately when they do exactly what you want them to do. Using a verbal cue like yes or good dog, or even a clicker. Some people prefer to train with a clicker. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever works with you, that reward marker is what that's called, is also part of it, because eventually you want to be able to have them do the trick without needing to give them a treat reward. So what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at a couple videos that I picked. I picked a couple different activities from the book to demonstrate for you with my dog. Some of them she'd never done before. So you're going to see our first attempt at some of these. So we're going to start with the laundry basket one. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I guess let me pull this up, and I'm going to share my screen.
It is shared. We can see the video.
All right. Can you see it now still?
Yes.
Okay. This is called the laundry basket.
But we can't hear it. Is that okay?
No. I'm sorry that you can't hear it. I don't know how to make
I
it.
can't. Does anybody else hear it?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear it
So
now?
she knows to go to the toy, but she hasn't
Yeah.
understood yet that she's got to pull the toy out. Pull the toy. Get the toy. Get the toy. Get the toy, Basil. Get the toy. Get the toy. Basil, get the toy. Get the toy. Get it. Yes. Get the toy. Get the toy. Get the toy. Get the toy. Get the toy, Basil. Get it. Get your toy. Yes. You got it. You got it. Good girl. I helped her that first time so she knew what I was going for. Now the next time I'm going to just hold the basket so it doesn't slide around. Okay, Basil, get your toy. Get your toy. Get it. Get it. Pull it out. Get your toy. Get it. Get your toy. Get your toy. Get your toy. Get the toy. Get the toy. Get it. Get the toy. She's distracted because my hand smells like the treat. Basil, get your toy. Get it. Get the toy. Get the.
So I don't know if you could, can you hear me? There we go. Okay. So in that video, that was the first time she tried to do that. A couple things to note. The first time you try these games, they might not really understand what the objective is, and she did not. Plus, she's not really toy motivated. She's not a dog who loves to play with a toy. So this trick works better, or game works best, if they are toy motivated and it's their favorite toy. Sometimes you can even use a toy that has a treat in it, so they have to pull it out to get the treat. But you know your dog and you know what's going to work for them. She eventually, if I work with her a little more, she'll get it. But it's a fun problem solving, and it gives them confidence to know when they can solve a new problem. We're going to do the next confidence build game that we tried was the hoop jump. So I'm going to show you that one. And let me just get that video up for you.
In this activity from the book, you're.
Can you see it? Okay. We've just admitted Nancy. Make sure she's joined. All right. I'll start the video after Nancy joins. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video.
You're going to get the dog used to going through a hoop. You're going to start it at ground level, and we're starting it up against a wall, because if I just hold it out here, Basil will just come around the hoop to get to the treat, as she's about to do. But if I hold the hoop against the wall, she can't go around it. And if I stand close to it, the only way she can get the treat, come here, Basil, come on. Good girl, she went through it.
So that forces her to go through. Basil, good girl. And once you have her going through the hoop repeatedly, then you can start to raise it. But I wouldn't raise it very, very high because you wanted to keep it still so that they're not afraid of it. Basil, but see, now she had to step over. I raised it by an inch. And eventually you can get it to where she has to jump through it. Come on, Basil, can you jump? Good girl, good girl. Now, she has had agility training, so she's actually used to doing higher jumps. But at home, to start with a dog who's never done a jump before, start them low, getting them used to going through the hoop, getting them comfortable with the hoop, and then gradually start raising it. And eventually, you can move away from the wall. And eventually, you should be able to hold the hoop out and have her go through it. I don't know that Basil will do that for us today, but we can give it a try. Basil, come around this way. Okay, come through the hoop. There we go. Good girl. Good girl. All right. All right. So, all right. So, with that activity, one of the things that they build confidence in is also confidence in you, because they have to trust that you're going to hold that hoop steady. If the hoop moves too much, it can frighten them. So you start out slow and gradually work up to having the hoop be wherever you want it to be. And that is, possibly, depending upon what scenario or situation you're in, that can be a trick that you can use when you're doing a presentation to a group of people. It's tough to do when your dog is on leash. So, I don't want to encourage you to take your dog off leash in situations, but it's a nice party trick. So the next group of activities focus on are on mental focus, and so it's really encouraging your dog to pay attention and stick with a task. So in these, a lot of them are the task of finding a treat and sticking with it. So I will show you two different videos. The first one I'm going to show you is called Muffin Tin, and it's one that was already posted on the K-Pets website, but it is one of the mental focus activities. So I'm going to go ahead and share that one with you. Let me get to that one. Actually, I'm not going to show that one. I don't see that one. I'm going to go to Treat Under a Blanket, and I apologize. Okay. This trick or game is called Treat Under a Blanket, and it's really supposed to challenge the dog to figure out, how do I get the treat that is hidden under the blanket. You can use a toy that they really like and that they're willing to retrieve, or you can actually use a treat. You could fill a Kong with their favorite treat, like peanut butter. So make it something that's really enticing, that they will want to continue to try to find. This is one of Basil's favorite toys. We'll see if she can figure out how to find it under a blanket or a towel, whatever you have handy. So Basil, I'm going to have Basil sit over here. Good girl. And then I'm going to put the treat and cover the treat with the towel. Okay, get your treat. Get the birdie. Get the treat. Get it. Get it. She's working at it. She's working at it. Good girl. She got it. She uncovered it. That's great. So then she gets the treat because she uncovered it. So we're going to try it. We're going to try it again just by hiding a couple treats under the blanket. Go ahead and sit, Basil. And stay. Stay. She sees that I have treats. I'm putting them under the blanket. Now she's going to have to figure out how to get the treats. Get the treats. Now one approach is to use her paw to scratch it off. That is her usual MO for these kinds of things. She doesn't always like to grab things with her mouth, but if she were to grab the towel, she could pull the towel off. And ideally, that's what you're hoping they'll get to. She has figured out how to nose her way under the blanket. or under the towel in this case, and find all the treats. And I'm gonna check. I think she got them all. Yes, you did. You got them all. Yes, you did. All right. So there are a couple other really cool activities in the book on mental focus. One that is really easy to do is to take a shoebox or any box, fill it with packing material like old when you get something in the mail, the newspaper print kind of paper, the brown packing paper, crinkle it up, put it in there. Also empty toilet paper rolls, throw a couple of those in there, and then put some treats in at the bottom of that box in among the packing material and the empty toilet bowl or toilet rolls. And they will have a blast pulling and rustling through trying to find all the treats. It's very mentally stimulating for them, and it keeps their focus. So those are just a couple different activities. The book has a bunch that are fun and easy to do. And as far as these activities that, as I went through this book, I kept asking myself and thinking, well, how could I use this activity or this skill in a therapy visit? And does anybody have any thoughts about whether or not or how this particular activity, having them find something or search for something, could maybe be used in a therapy visit? You can unmute yourselves if you have an idea or suggestion of how these mental focus activities could maybe entertain some of the people that you visit.
I can share what we used to do. We used to go to a nursing home and there would be a group of them together in the activity room. And what we would do is we would tell the residents, where do you want me to hide that? We'd use toys. I'd take my dog's favorite toy or whatever and say, where should we hide it? And we'd take the dog and the handler would go out of the room and then we'd hide the toy in certain different places. They would tell you where, like under the table, behind the piano, things like that.
Nice.
And then we would come back in and say, okay, we're ready. And then we would let the dog go find it. And they really got good at it. I mean, they loved it, so it was really fun. Now, some of them didn't enjoy it, but there's a couple of them that would just really love it. So you just run out and you get all excited, like, where's your toy? Where's your toy? And you just got to hang on to the leash and run behind them and let them go. Just let them find it. And it's amazing. It was really a lot of fun. I missed that.
That's great. That's great. And kids would love that too. If you're ever dealing with, classrooms or, small children, they would love that. That would be great. Excellent. So the next group of activities in the book focused on coordination. And some of these coordination games were really challenging, and some of them needed a little more equipment than you might have in your home. But I started with the weave poles, and of course that's not something everybody has handy at their home, but they're easy enough to get online, and it's a great skill for the dog to learn. But there are other coordination skills in this book that you could translate and demonstrate even with the dog on a leash to a group of people if you were demonstrating this in a therapy visit. So I will go ahead and share the weave poles video, which I made right before it was about to rain. So we had to tape it quickly. That is my caveat on that one. And I have to find it because it's not. Bear with me. You know what? Let me just. I apologize. I'm going to have to get it off the disc. And I don't have it on the disc. I am so sorry. We had a technical difficulty right before this, and that is why. Here we go. Nope, don't have it. I am sorry. It's on the other computer that I couldn't get to sync up to work. So we don't have weave poles. I apologize. We will try. We'll move on to the strength video, which the strength activities that we tried. And I will tell you that this one strength the one strength game that we tried was called Sit High, and Basil was not amused. She did not care for it. So we will.
Okay. This activity is called Touch My Hand.
Oh, wait,
and
wrong
you
one.
start out the
We'll do Touch My Hand next. We'll do this one.
This activity is called Sit High, and Basil has never tried it. The only part of this that she actually knows how to do is to sit, but she only ever likes to sit when she's facing me. So this will be a challenge. So we might not get through the whole thing, but this will be our first attempt. So Basil, come here. I'm leading her with a treat. Sit. Yes, good girl. So she sat almost my goal is to get her to sit with her back toward me between my legs. So we'll try it again. Hazel, come here, and come here, come here, come here, and sit. Yes, good girl. Oh, that was very good. Come here, and sit. Yes. Okay, so she does not like having me right behind her. She always wants to sit facing me. So this Sit High particular trick, the goal is to have them sit in front of you and then lead their nose up so that she'll stand begging for the treat, leaning against my legs with her back and head leaning against my legs. And eventually I can take one leg away and she'll just lean against one leg so that she gets used to building the muscle to sit up. But again, this is something Basil has never tried before. So your first attempt is always going to be perhaps a little wonky. Some tricks are going to take longer than others. Okay, come on Basil, we'll try it again. Okay, come here. Let me try to get her through my legs and see if I can get her to sit that way. Come this way. Can you come through? Come through and sit. Good girl. That was good. That was good. Now, the other thing I can try is to keep her attention focused on my hand, and I can stand behind her. But, you know, as I said, she doesn't really like that. So this way, and sit, and sit. Good girl. So for her, she's nervous about my being behind her. So for her, we're just gonna have to work on that to build. So as you work on these tricks, you might have to figure out what works for your dog and break it down into the parts that work for her. Basil, come here. Sit. Good girl. Good.
I will say that with some of these activities, there are some that just, you know, might not be right for your dog. And the goal is to have fun. So if you try a game with your dog or a trick and they don't like it, don't do it. But if you know, you could tell that Basil was still having fun, she just wasn't catching on to what I wanted her to do. If I work with her, she'll get it eventually. But if she doesn't, that's okay. No harm done. As long as she's still having fun. Once she stops having fun, then I don't push it, and that's maybe not the right trick for her or your dog, whatever, you know, you have to read your dog and know what works for them. I have since tried to work with her to beg just by holding the treat above her nose. And we are making progress on that front. But it, you know, you find your way that works. The next activity illustrates following directions. So there's a whole section again in the book on just follow activities that require them to follow directions. So we are going to do the activity called Touch My Hand. And while you're watching this activity, if you're already familiar with it, you may already be thinking of ways that you can use this in a therapy visit, because this is one you probably can adapt to use in a therapy visit. So here we go.
Okay. This activity is called Touch My Hand. And you start out, the goal is to have a command, usually the word touch, and hold your hand, and you want them to touch with their nose, not with their paw. So you want to be specific that they're touching with their nose. And in order to get them to orient them that way, you put a treat between your fingers and kind of loosely hold it so they know to sniff for it. Basil, touch. And when she does good girl, you release the treat for her. So now she knows touch the hand gives her a treat. And you practice that way for a while with it just loosely between your fingers. And Basil, touch. Yep, good girl. And she got the treat. So she knows touch then comes to the hand. And eventually with practice, you can do it without a treat in your hand. Basil, touch. Yes, and then give her the treat from your other hand. And I find too that mixing up the treats, you can also do it where if you have a treat that you can rub on your fingers, if the transition from treat in the fingers to no treat at all is too difficult, rub some of the treat on your hands so that your hands smell like the treat, and then touch. Good girl. And then she gets her reward. Basil, touch. Basil, touch. Yes, good girl. And eventually, you should be able to do it even when you don't have a treat. They know touch, it puts their attention. Eventually, you can also transfer that touch my hand to touching an object. Or if you're visiting someone in a nursing home and you want the dog to touch their hand, you can practice with family members getting the dog to touch somebody else's hand, not just yours. So you can use it to transfer that skill to other things and even objects.
All right. So one of the things about touch my hand that dogs can find challenging at first, and Basil didn't demonstrate that it was challenging because she'd already learned how to do it before. At first, you'll find that dogs will paw at your hand. That's a natural, response, but you only want to give them the treat when they use their nose, because you really only want their nose to come to your hand. You don't want them pawing, especially if they're going to be greeting other people. But it's a fun and easy one to do. And does anybody have any thoughts on how that might play out or be useful if you're doing therapy visits? You can unmute if you have an idea, or if you have a question, you can unmute.
So we've done something similar with the phrase say hello, as a greet, because sometimes she's a little tentative when she's meeting new people. So it's a prompt. You'll get a treat if you say hello.
Excellent. And it also tells her that she's not touching your hand or touching you. She's going to say hello to someone else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions about how they might use that? The next one I'm going to show you then is a video called Pedestal. And Pedestal is one that you can use when you're doing therapy visits with a dog who's leashed. So here we go.
Okay. So this activity, this trick or game is called Pedestal. And not all dogs like it, so it will take some time, especially big dogs. Little dogs have an easier time with Pedestal than bigger dogs, because ideally the object of Pedestal is to get your dog to sit comfortably up on the pedestal. And Basil may not like that at first. So your first step is to get them to put their paws up on it. So Basil, put your paws up. And notice how she's going to do everything she can not to put her paws up. She's going to reach her nose. Come, put your paws up. Put your paws up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. So she's really trying to avoid putting her paws. Come on up, Basil. Come on up. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. That was very good. Very brave. All right. So that was a huge breakthrough right there. You notice that she was circling it, and when she actually gets her paws on it, that's success. That's your first stage of success. Keep trying. Come on up. Good girl. Yes. Good girl. And notice how she waited there. She didn't rush to get off. That's huge progress. I'm going to get some more treats. Okay. Basil, come on up. Yes. That's it. Very good. Very good. Very good. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. And ultimately, you want them to be comfortable. Good girl. Yes. You want them to be comfortable doing that repeatedly and then staying on the pedestal as long. So, come on up, Basil. Come on up. Yes, and sit. Oh, let's try it again. Come on. Come on, and sit. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. And sit. Good girl. That was very good. Very good. Excellent. And if you want them to hold their position, you can have several treats in your hand, like I'm doing, and let her kind of lick at them. And then that holds her there a little bit longer. All right. Nicely done, sweetheart. All right.
All right. So with pedestal, in the book, the pedestal that the dog sits on is smaller than the pedestal I had available to me. But the pedestal that I had available to me worked just fine to demonstrate how to train that one. But again, that one's one that you can adapt easily to use during a therapy visit. How many of you have ever visited someone who's in a wheelchair? Anybody, you raise your hand if you visited someone in a wheelchair. Having the pedestal where they could be beside the person in the wheelchair, or at least put their paws up on the pedestal so that their head was raised enough that the person in the wheelchair could more easily pet them. That's a good one to have. I know for a dog Basil's size, she's not quite tall enough for a wheelchair person to comfortably pet her. So putting her paws up on a chair or a pedestal beside the wheelchair is a better way to go for her to be within easy reach of the person. But with a small dog, having a pedestal right beside the wheelchair would be another solution. Any thoughts or questions on that? Well, I think, the book, there are 86 different activities, and we only looked at maybe 5 or 6 of them tonight. And you saw the first time that Basil tried to do them. So these are all fairly straightforward, easy activities to try. One of the things that you'll discover, as you probably already have with anything you've trained your dog, breaking it down into smaller bits, smaller steps, smaller increments till they get to the final complete activity that you want them to do, can make it easier, especially for an older dog. And you never want the training sessions to last more than 10 or 15 minutes, because you don't want them to get fatigued and bored. And you also, you want to keep it fun. As long as they're having fun, then that's what matters. And I think one of the things that I have found, at least with Basil, is that the more she keeps learning, the happier she is. And it has, I've had dogs my whole life, but I've never spent as much time training a dog as I have with Basil. And we're connected in a way that I hadn't experienced with my other dogs. The bond is different. She is very attentive to me. She's very, she pays attention to my every move. Part of that is also that we did agility. So she's watching my whole body language. And the more that you do with your dog, the more confidence they have, the more comfortable they will be when you go on a therapy visit. They already know that you're never going to take them into a dangerous situation, but they will trust you even more the more that you do with them, and the more fun challenges that you two face together. You're going to see even more confidence blossom in your dog, and the relationship is going to be that much more rewarding for you. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I am assuming that if you joined tonight, it was because you wanted to maybe learn how to do a few other games, or you've already embarked on some additional training. Does anybody want to share what they're currently working on or what they're planning to work on? I'd love to hear what, where you're going to take this and where you want to go with your dog. It's okay if nobody wants to share, that's fine. Megan, you turned off your mute. Do you want to share?
I was just gonna share, especially at the retirement home, you know, when you're in an activity room, it's nice to be able to have a chain of like 8 tricks that she can do. And I don't have a hula hoop, but my dog's small enough, she can jump through my arms. So I put my arms out and, you know, she can keep her leash on and she's close to me. So, but they
Excellent.
always love that. So,
Excellent. Excellent.
yeah.
You can also, if your dog is small enough to do that, you can also do the thing where you put your knee out in a 90-degree angle and they jump over your thigh with your
Oh,
knee,
that's true.
you know,
Mhm.
similar to, you know,
Mhm.
and you can, and that they can still do with a leash on. Excellent. Excellent. Great, great, suggestions there. Any other, does anybody want to continue to have programs like this from K-Pets where we feature maybe different books and different activities that you can try with your dog? Is that of interest if we continue to do this? Okay, I see some thumbs up. That's great. One of the next books I was thinking about is called Brain Games for Dogs. I don't know if everybody can see the title, Brain Games for Dogs. It's by Claire Aerosmith. And it's, you know, they're different challenges to keep them mentally stimulated and thinking. Some of them would translate to a demonstration you could give, but they're, you know, while you're at a visit. Others are just stuff to keep them entertained and strategizing when they're at home, maybe when they're home alone as well. So so that was the next book I was thinking about exploring. Does that sound like an interesting book that you might want to learn more about or see some demonstrations from? Excellent.
I think that'd be great. And especially brain games are good for the older dogs. Like they can't necessarily do all the, you know, sitting up. I think of my guy, you know, he's not going to be able to sit up anymore. You know, his back is just not what it used to be. So I think the brain games are really great to keep them mentally stimulated as they age. You know, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any unique challenges? Maybe they have a dog with, you know, hip issues, or they're older, or any challenges that you think your dog might have trying to learn new games or tricks? All right, so all the dog. That's great. That's great.
3
Yeah.
legs.
3 legs. Well, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. But you can do a lot with that. And, you know, when you have a dog with any disability, one of the great things with doing therapy visits, especially in classrooms with young children, is that they get to recognize that that disability doesn't they can still love that dog. They can still get their head around that, and it makes it less other to them. It normalizes it, and it makes kids feel more comfortable with the concept of someone who has a disability. And the same can be true for adults too. Seeing a dog with a disability, it can be inspirational to, you know, a senior citizen who maybe just lost a leg because of diabetes, or just had a hip replacement and now they're worried they're not going to be able to do as much. It can be inspirational that they can see what the dog can do. So that's, you know, use it to that advantage. Any other thoughts, questions, suggestions, maybe things that you want to see more of, or maybe we're hoping we could continue on or do more of? I think ultimately what we're looking for is at K-Pets, we want to make sure that all of the volunteers are well supported, and that you're getting the continuing education and continued support for you and your dog team or cat team or horse team, whatever animal you're working with. We want to make sure you have the support you need, because what you do is so incredibly important, and it makes such a difference. So we really want you to know how much you're appreciated, and we want to continue to provide whatever support and continuing education we can. So if you have suggestions, feel free to send them to Karen. We are open to suggestions, and we want to make sure that we give you all that you need so that you can continue to do what you do. Well, with that, if no one has questions, I just want to say thank you so much. This was the first time I've ever given a Zoom presentation, so I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, but thank you for bearing with me, and this was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for sparking good ideas.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
This
it.
was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure. All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks very
Night.
much.
Great job, Jen.
Oh, thank you. I think
Yeah,
we
that
are
was awesome. I'm
Thank
sorry?
you. I think we're still recording. So let me just go ahead and let me find out how to make you.
I think you just have to go down and hit